Hey guys, welcome to XRP Insider News. You know what? Those XRP investors from way back, we're talking literally a decade ago, who kept saying one day pretty much every financial asset will be tokenized on blockchain. Guess what? They were absolutely right. And honestly, we're all getting vindicated right now. I've been talking about this since my very early days because it was just so obvious this would happen. Think about it. The XRP ledger has this built-in decentralized exchange. Plus, you can tokenize literally any asset you want on the blockchain. Of course, that was going to be the future. Even if the only benefit was increased efficiency, that alone would be reason enough for this to take off. But here's the thing. We needed the crypto space to mature first. We needed people to gain confidence, and we needed to prove that blockchains could exist for years without getting successfully hacked. And here's where XRP Ledger really shines, folks. The XRP Ledger has something you simply cannot program into any new blockchain, and that's time. XRP and the XRP Ledger have been around for over a decade now. Hackers have been trying to destroy it since day one, and they've failed every single time. So if you're looking to tokenize assets on a blockchain, you're naturally going to look at the oldest, most battle-tested chains first. Sure, maybe some new chain has better metrics or it's faster or whatever, but who cares? Security is what matters most. And the XRP Ledger, it just freaking works. Period. So this world where basically every financial asset on the planet gets tokenized? We're entering that world right now. All of us who said this made sense over 5 years ago. We were right, and it's happening as we speak. This is exactly why the long-term viability of XRP and the XRP Ledger is so solid. And that's why this matters to you as an XRP holder. All right, I've got some amazing stories to share with you in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. Let's start with this one from CoinDesk. XRP Ledger tapped for tokenizing $130 million agribusiness credit as Brazil's real-world asset push accelerates. And then we've got this incredible news. Ripple's RLUSD just got ranked as the #1 stablecoin by Blue Chip with an A rating. And get this, that's right out of the gate, people. Think about this for a second. RLUSD has only been live since December of last year. We're talking about a little over 6 months here. 6 months? And it's already sitting at the top with an A rating. You know what this tells us? Credibility in this space actually matters big time. When you've got a solid foundation and proven track record behind you, people notice. And honestly, I think this is going to work out just fine for all of us. And then we've got this. Japan just found a way to let you earn XRP without spending yen. All right, let's dive into this first story. So we've got this Brazilian securitization firm called Vert, and they just launched a blockchain-based private credit platform on the XRP Ledger. We're talking about their debut with 700 million Brazilian reals, that's roughly $130 million, for something called an agribusiness receivable certificate, or CRA for short. Now, this CRA is basically a key instrument that bundles up future cash flows from Brazil's agriculture sector. And here's the cool part. It was recorded on-chain using both the XRP Ledger and its Ethereum-compatible EVM sidechain. This means they can track cash flows, loan events, and payments in real time. But here's where it gets really interesting, and I want to be crystal clear about this. This literally cannot happen without XRP on the XRP Ledger. That's just how it's coded, folks. Every single transaction of anything that gets tokenized on the XRP Ledger requires XRP to be burned. We're talking about a tiny little fraction of XRP that gets destroyed permanently with each transaction. And you know what that means? It makes XRP deflationary by code. A tiny piece of XRP gets destroyed with every single transaction on the blockchain. XRP is required by the code itself. So think about this logically. If XRP is going to continue being one of the go-to places for entities to tokenize financial assets, and it's obviously heading in that direction, what do you think happens next? As more people, businesses, and institutions want exposure to crypto as an investment class, don't you think XRP is going to be increasingly part of that conversation? These investors are going to look at this and think, wow, okay, this XRP thing is actually useful and has real utility. It's not going anywhere. This seems like a pretty safe place to invest if I'm jumping into crypto. Don't you think that's going to be a huge part of the thought process for individuals, businesses, and institutions when they're investing in crypto? I'm thinking the answer is absolutely yes. It's just such an obvious thing. It's a complete no-brainer. So, Vert's new platform is aiming to completely modernize Brazil's massive $200 billion private credit market. We're talking about offering end-to-end lifecycle traceability, compliant metadata storage, and real-time updates for both investors and regulators. Pretty impressive stuff. Here's what's really smart about their approach. Vert says their system combines both on-chain recording and off-chain redundancy. Basically, they're bridging Brazil's regulated financial infrastructure with blockchain technology. Gabriel Braga, who's the director of digital assets at Virat, put it perfectly. We are enabling operation events to be recorded in the most granular way possible, ensuring traceability and transparency, approaching real time. And here's the kicker. It turns out the XRP ledger's low-cost, high-efficiency design actually matters. Who would have thought, right? The low cost and high efficiency, combined with EVM compatibility, allowed for smart contract automation and auditability that foreign investors are increasingly demanding. Braga noted that foreign investors have been pushing for exactly this level of operational transparency. So folks, the fact that XRP has all these bells and whistles but is also just really good at payments, turns out we were absolutely right. This future we've been talking about for over 5 years, well, we're living in it right now. This is the future we discussed, and they do value exactly what XRP brings to the table. And here we are. This is just one of many reasons why XRP has stayed in the top 10 coins by market cap for its entire existence. Even despite that brutal SEC attack that so many people thought would destroy XRP and push it out of the top 10, but guess what? That didn't happen. And then we get this absolutely fantastic piece. Pantera Capital is saying that the tipping point for tokenization is likely approaching, and they're comparing the sector to the early days of ETFs. This is so cool because it's basically the same topic we've been discussing. I mean, let's be real here. Is anybody even disputing tokenization at this point? It was way more controversial when we were saying this back in 2017 and 2018. But now, does anybody seriously dispute that pretty much every financial asset on the planet is going to be tokenized? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? It just makes perfect sense. So here we have Pantera Capital weighing in. And by the way, these guys were the first to launch a Bitcoin fund in the United States back in 2013. They're run by Dan Moorhead, who's a really sharp guy. Now, Dan doesn't talk about XRP very frequently these days, and he hasn't for a long time. But I remember years ago, he said he believed XRP would be one of the few coins that would actually be here for the long term. He was predicting XRP as one of the winners in this space way back in the day. I don't know if his views have changed. I haven't seen anything recent from him on that topic, but he spoke very confidently about it back then. Anyway, that's the Pantera Capital guy. So check this out. In their new newsletter, Pantera Capital wrote, when the first U.S. equity ETF launched in 1993, it crossed $1 billion in assets under management within a year. But the real inflection point wasn't its size. It was when ETF volumes began consistently matching and eventually exceeding mutual fund flows. That's when market structure changed, and investor behavior soon followed. We believe tokenization will hit a similar moment in broad market structure transformation and issuer and investor behavior. And that's it right there, folks. Everything under the sun is going to be tokenized. Stocks, mutual funds, treasuries, and by the way, those last two, they've already been tokenized on the XRP ledger most recently. This isn't some science experiment or theoretical concept anymore. This is real-life stuff that's already happening right now. What Pantera is saying here is that there's going to be an inflection point where tokenization becomes the absolute norm. And when that moment hits, you're going to see a handful of blockchains, I don't know exactly how many, that become the go-to platforms for this use case. Right now, XRP is absolutely one of them. And if this trend continues and we keep seeing this kind of adoption, I'm telling you, even just this one use case alone will firmly establish XRP as a winner in this space. Honestly, in my mind, it's already happened. XRP is absolutely a winner. I don't know what could possibly go wrong to destroy it at this point, but it is a winner. And the more time that passes, the more this stuff happens, the more it just gets cemented in place. That's pretty much it. The writing is on the wall, people. And then there's this headline, Ripple's RLUSD ranked #1 stablecoin by Blue Chip with A rating. And these next two stories are really just blurbs. I just wanted to mention them because I think they're cool here, but check out this post from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. He says, in case you missed it, in the midst of all the regulatory goodness last Friday, Blue Chip ranked RLUSD as the #1 most trusted stablecoin in the market. Now, folks, that is some serious praise coming from Blue Chip, and we're talking about RLUSD, which has literally only been around since December. That's a little over 6 months at this point. That is absolutely impressive. Right out of the gate, RLUSD is finding wild success, and honestly, we need this momentum to continue. But this is exactly why I said Ripple's timing for launching this was perfect. We're still early enough in the crypto space that you can actually create a new stablecoin, and if you execute well, turn it into a permanent fixture in crypto for the next couple of decades. Try doing that a couple decades from now. Good luck. It's going to be way harder. And here's the thing, it's Ripple doing this? Let's be real here. Ripple has more money than God. They've got a massive war chest of funds. If anyone can make this work at this point in time, it's absolutely them. So don't be surprised if this success story continues continues to unfold exactly as we're seeing it. But here's what you need to understand. Yes, RLUSD exists on multiple blockchains, but it's tokenized on the XRP ledger. And remember what we talked about earlier? Every single transaction on the XRP ledger requires XRP to function. This is just another thing that ensures the long-term viability of both XRP and the XRP ledger. It's all connected, people. And so here's what a blue chip wrote. The highest rated stablecoin in blue chip has never changed, but today RLUSD becomes the new #1 ranked stablecoin. Blue chip is beginning coverage for RLUSD by Ripple with an initial rating of A. This reflects our view that RLUSD is one of the safest stablecoins available. And there you go. Ripple's approach to being the adult in the room, doing everything by the books, from a regulatory perspective, completely compliant, all that. They're doing it. It's being recognized and it's safe. This is so good for XRP holders. It just is. And then we've got this really cool story. Japan just found a way to let you earn XRP without actually spending any money on it. I thought this was pretty awesome. Is there anything like this happening in the United States? Check this out. So for the first time ever, cryptocurrencies have been added as redeemable assets in Japan's A+ points program. If you're an A+ credit card holder, you can now convert your rewards points directly into cryptocurrencies, including XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. This makes A+ the very first major Japanese loyalty program to let you convert points straight into crypto. How cool is that? Now, I think I've read about something similar in other regions, maybe even here in the United States, but it's right at the edge of my memory. So if anybody out there knows what I'm thinking of, assuming I'm not completely making this up, drop a comment below. I'd love to know what that program is if my brain isn't playing tricks on me here. But either way, we're seeing more and more stuff like this popping up everywhere. It's just further adoption of crypto happening in creative ways. It's just one more piece of the puzzle, and it's such a cool little story that I had to throw it in at the end of the video here. These are the kinds of developments that show crypto is becoming part of everyday life, folks.